Osio Nigot, Galele Jagado, Kohig, Wade Blevins, Dawadon, Kohig, he Atalagi Nagine, RSU TV, G Gananu, Gon, Kohig, Niladu, Shine Talagia de Lo Coste. Welcome. This is Cherokee 4 here on RSU TV. I'm happy to be here. I'm Wade Blevins. I'll be assisting you navigate your language today. This is, I think, the 18th Cherokee lesson. So, as you know, we've been tackling some of the more complicated or more difficult aspects of the language, specifically talking about classifying verbs, and we're also kind of tackling those pronoun prefixes that are really difficult. They're difficult for me as well. I'm pretty good with, like I, you, he or she, and they, but all y'all or he and I, but not you, all of those, because I don't use them that often, I have trouble with them as well. So we're going to go over them, and hopefully by the end of this course, both you and myself will be at least feel more comfortable with them. However, I'm going to warn you, it gets even boogerier, okay? So in that, right now, all we're learning is the object being he or she. However, we haven't even talked about, like, for example, I'm giving it to you, or they're giving it to us, or, and so there's all of those different permutations. And here in the very near future, we're going to just kind of look at them, okay? We're not going to get super into them. But we will look at them, and I'll kind of show you where you can find that information online. Again, I will tell you that in spoken Cherokee, not always is what you'll find online, not always will it be how it's done in communities. So just be aware of that. But you'll at least be in the ballpark, hopefully. So let's go ahead. Come, Idalena talagi idiwoni. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So again, we're going to talk about the word have, because that's fairly easy. So agi ha, I have something solid, right? Za ha. Ha, gini ha, ogini ha, igi ha, ogi ha, sti ha, iji ha, uni ha. Okay, so let's do it this way, rather than me having, saying, I have something solid, you have something solid. Let's come up with some signs to help. So I'm going to point to myself. You, I'm going to point towards you. He or she, I'm going to point off to the side. You and I'm going to point between the two of us. He and I'm going to point here. All of us, I'm going to go this way. Okay. All of us, but not you. Okay. So all of us, but not you. You two, all of you, and they. Okay? So let's do it that way. Let's see if I can remember them myself. So agi ha, ja ha, u ha, gini ha, ogini ha, right? And igi ha, ogi ha, sti ha, iji ha, uni ha. Okay? And then the past tense of that. Aki huh? Ta huh? Huh? Gini huh? Ogini huh? Igi huh? Ogi huh? Sti huh? Eg huh? Uni huh? Okay, something alive, having something alive. Agi ka, ta ka, uwe ka, gini ka, ogini ka, igi ka, ogi ka, sti ka, eg ka, uni ka. Right? Past tense of that. Aki kaha, ta kaha, uwe kaha, gini kaha, ogini kaha, igi kaha, ogi kaha, sti kaha, eg kaha, uni kaha. Okay, to have something liquid. Agi ne, ta ne, ne, gini ne, ogini ne, igi ne, ogi ne, sti ne, eg ne, uni ne. Past tense of that for a liquid. Agi neha, ta neha, neha, gini neha, ogini neha, igi neha, ogi neha, sti neha, eg neha, uni neha. Having something that's long and rigid. Agwaya, zaya, uwaya, ginaya, oginaya, igaya, ogaya, staya, ijaya, unaya. Agwaya, zaya, uwaya, ginaya, oginaya, igaya, ogaya, staya, ijaya, unaya. Okay, to have something flexible. Agina, tana, una, ginina, oginina, igina, ogina, stina, igina, unina. And then agina, tana, una, ginina, oginina, igina, ogina, stina, igina, unina. Okay? So I think that'll help. I think it's helping me at least. So from here on out, if you would do the actions with me as I'm reading through them, and if you would read through them as well, I think that might help you, or it might help some of you at least. Okay? So now we're going to talk about giving, okay? So we're going to talk about giving something solid first, like an apple, right? A phone, a box, whatever, okay? Ji ne, hi ne, ga ne, ini ne, osti ne, idi ne, oji ne, sti ne, eg ne, ani ne. Okay? Past tense of that. We talked about that, right? We're going to add, or maybe we haven't, maybe this is new. We're going to add l at the end. Okay? All we do is you take the same word, you see, gine, ginela. Okay? Ginela, hinela, canela, ininela, ostinela, idinela, oginela, stinela, iginela, aninela. Okay? Now, talking about something living. Okay? Tiyakane, hiyakane, gakane, enakane, ostakane, edakane, ojakane, estakane, ejakane, anakane. Okay, that one's kind of hard, isn't it? And then again, just as we did the first time, to make it in the past tense, something that's already happened, we're going to put la at the end. Okay? Gia canela, hia canela, ga canela, ena canela, osta canela, eda canela, oja canela, esta canela, eja canela, ana canela. Okay? To give something that's liquid. Gine ne, hine ne, gane ne, ini ne, ostine ne, idine ne, ojine ne, stine ne, ijine ne, anine ne. And then, just as it was before, jinene, if we're going to talk about it in the past, jinenela. Okay? Jinenela, hinenela, ganenela, ininenela, ostinenela, idinenela, ojinenela, stinenela, ijinenela, aninenela. And something long, something long and rigid. Chi de, he de, ga de, ini de, osti de, idi de, oji de, sti de, iji de, ani de. Okay, so how do you think we would make the past tense from this? So saying ji de, how would I say, instead of I'm giving him something long, how about I gave something long to him? If you guessed to put la at the end, you're exactly right. Ji de la, he de la, ga de la, ini de la, osti de la, idi de la, oji de la, sti de la, iji de la, ani de la. And lastly, something flexible. Jina ne, hina ne, gana ne, inina ne, ostina ne, idina ne, ojina ne, stina ne, ijina ne, anina ne. Okay, and then again, so how would we make the past tense for that? Just add la to the end. So, jina nela, hina nela, kana nela, inina nela, ostina nela, idina nela, ojina nela, stina nela, ijina nela, anina nela. Okay? So, I think that these, excuse me, I think that these hand gestures are going to help just a little bit. All right, so we're going to use the word give in a real world application, some sentences that we can actually put to use. And we're going to do that using this riddle song. It comes from the 14th century, which is way back in the 1300s. So before Europeans ever came here, they were singing this song. It was popular in Great Britain. It was popular in Wales, Scotland, Ireland. It was popular both in English and in Gaelic. This is a fairly modern translation or version of it. Of course, back in the 1300s, English was very, very, very different. And we might actually look at what it would have sounded like back then in English, just for fun. Anyway, the main thing is, if we look at it, the first verse says, I gave my love a cherry that had no stone. Okay? So cherry. So we would be giving her something solid, right? And the next one, it says, I gave my love a chicken that had no bone. So that would be, I give him something alive, right? Or I give her something alive. I gave my love a baby with no crying. And again, that would be, I gave her something living. And I told my love a story that has no end. Okay, so this has some really great vocabulary that I think we can add. So, let's go ahead and look at the first line. I gave my love a cherry that had no stone. Okay? Ogin likti. That's not my love. A lot of times people will ask, Cherokee speakers, they'll say, well, how do I say babe or honey or sweetie or bae or, any of those terms of endearment? And in Cherokee, we don't really have a way to do that. We don't really do that. So, if we look at this word ogin likti, it's related to the word to like, okay? And it's also related to the structure, for example, for husband, for fiance, for friend, oginali, and again, ogin likti, okay? And it's just ogin likti means we like each other, right? Ogin likti, okay? And I suppose if you were going to speak directly to him or her, just like whenever we talk directly to our friend, we say, instead of oginali, that's when we're talking about our friend. When we're talking directly to them, we'll say ginali. We leave the O off, right? Because we're including them. So oginlikti become ginlikti if you're talking directly to your boyfriend or girlfriend. Ginlikti. So that's a really good word to know. Oginlikt or oginlikti. Okay? So oginlikt. Gitaya. Gitaya. It's a word for cherry. In some communities, I have heard taya, and they leave the gi off. Okay? Either way is perfectly fine. Okay? And of course, we're talking about something solid. So I'm giving him something solid. Jine. Okay? But in this case, it's in the past tense, so we add la to the end. Jinela. Okay? O ginlikti. Gitaya. Jinela. Ukta. Ukta is a seed. Okay? In the verse, it says a stone. And a stone just talks about the pit, the cherry pit, right? It's not talking about like a rock, nui, right? It's really talking about the pit or the seed of the cherry. So anytime we talk about any kind of seed, including peach pits, plum pits, cherry pits, because of course they call them stone in Old English. They would call them, you know, and we still have that today. If you've ever heard of a clingstone peach or a freestone peach or a freestone plum, you know, it's talking about the seed inside. So in Cherokee, ukta is any kind of seed. It could be a cherry seed, a peach seed. It could be, you know, any other grape seed. It could be any kind of seed that you would imagine. Nun suya, nun suya. That means it's missing or it lacks. It doesn't have it. It's without. Nun suya. And this is an odd word, and it's a really odd word for me because whenever I was working with the speakers to translate this, you know, I had literally translated, you know, to use the word have. It doesn't have it, right? And they were like, oh no, we, you know, and then they came back and they were like, nun suya. And immediately I knew what that word meant, but I couldn't tell you why. And in asking the speakers, like what verb that comes from or, you know, how to break that down, they were like, I don't know, that's just what you say. Nun suya means it's without it. It doesn't have it. It's not there. Nun suya. Okay? So they don't have them, right? Nun suya. Okay? So, ogin likti, kitaya, jinela, ukta, nun suya. I gave my love a cherry without a seed in Cherokee. My love, cherry, I gave her it, seed, it's without. Nun suya. So, ogin likti, kitaya, jinela, ukta nun suya. Okay, the next one. I gave my love a chicken that had no bone. Of course, we're going to use the word girlfriend or boyfriend, ogin likti. Ogin likt, chitog, chicken, chitog. Chia canela. So see, we used the different word, chinela, for having something solid, chia canela. We used for having something that's alive, right? Ogin likti, chitog, chia canela, coal, bone. Nun suya, there aren't any. Okay? Ogin likti, chitog, chia canela, coal, nun suya. So the first one, ogin likti, kitaya, jinela, ukta, nun suya. Right? Then the next one says ogin likti, chitog, chia canela, coal, nun suya. Right? Now we're going to talk about the next one. I gave my love a baby with no crying. So again, it'll be my girlfriend or my boyfriend, a baby. I gave her it, something alive that doesn't cry. Okay? So, ogin likti, usti. Nadloyiskan. Nadloyiskan. That means nadloyiskan. Adloyi means it's crying. Nadloyiskan means it doesn't cry. Nadloyiskan. Okay, Giacanela. I gave it to her. Okay, same word as the chicken one, right? Giacanela. Okay, oginlikti usti nadloyiskan giacanela. Okay, nadloyiskan, it doesn't cry. And the last one, I told my love a story that has no end. Oginlikti ginosela nasquidiskan kanohedon. Okay, oginlikt, my boyfriend or girlfriend. Ginosela, I told him or her. Nasquidiskan, it doesn't end. There's no ending to it. Okay? It's related to the word idisquat or G-squat. Idisquat, we're done. G-squat, I'm done. See? You see there, squat, squad, squatty. Okay? To be finished. Nasquidiskan, not finished. Okay? Doesn't end. Kanoheda. Kanoheda is something told or a story, right? So, oginlikt, ginosela, nasquidiskan kanoheda. Okay, so this is the first verse. Let's read through it a couple times. First, we'll do it super slow. I want you to get practice, and then we'll read it a little bit faster. Okay? Come, idigoliye. Oginlikte, kitaya, ginela, ukta, nunsuya. Oginlikte, titag, tiakanela, kol, nunsuya. Oginlikte, usti, nadloyiskan, giacanela. Oginlikte, ginosela, nasquidiskan, kanoheda. And let's do it again, a little bit faster this time. Oginlikte, kitaya, ginela, ukta nunsuya. Oginlikte, tatag, tiakanela, kol nunsuya. Oginlikte, usti, nadloyiskan, giacanela. Oginlikte, ginosela, nasquidiskan kanoheda. Okay, so then there's another verse to the song, and it says, and for some reason it doesn't continue on, so we'll do it this way. Okay, so the next verse says, how can there be a cherry that has no stone? So how can there be a cherry that doesn't have a seed in it? How can there be a chicken that has no bone? How can chickens not have bones? Of course, this was back during the days before, chicken tenders and those kinds of things, boneless chicken, right? How can there be a baby with no crying? So how can you have a baby that doesn't cry? And how can you tell a story that doesn't end? Okay? So, there's some, I think, some great vocabulary in here. This structure for how can it be is really, really nice, and I think can come in handy. So, the structure for how can it be, hila eli, hila eli. Hila means how, ele means can, okay? It can also mean thinks, right? So how can hila ele gitaya, cherry, ukta, seed, nusuya yik, not have, if, okay? So, without if. So, hila eli gitaya, how can it be a cherry? Uk tanu suya yik, if it's without a seed. Okay? Again, hila eli chitog, how can there be a chicken? Kol nusuya yik, if it's without bones. Okay? Hila eli usti nadlo yishkanyik. How can there be a baby if it's not crying? Hila eli kanoheda nashkwadishkanyik. Okay, hila eli, how can it be? Kanoheda, a story. Nashkwadishkanyik, if it's not ending, if there's no end. Okay? So let's read through it again a couple times each. We'll do it slow, and then we'll do it a little bit faster. Hila eli kitaya ukta nusuya yig. Hila eli jitag kol nusuya yik. Hila eli usti nadlo yik. Hila ele kanoheda nashkwadishkanyik. Okay? I feel like I read that a little too fast for you. Let's go through it again, slower. Hila ele gitaya, cherry, right? Gitaya. Ukta, what's ukta? Seed. Nusuya yik, if it's without. Hila eli, how can? Jatog, what is jatog? Chicken. Jatog. Kol, bone. Nusuya yik, if it's without. Hila eli, how can it be? Usti, baby. Nadlo yishkan, not crying. Yik, if. Hila eli kanoheda, a story. Nashkwadishkan yik, if it doesn't end. Okay, let's read it again a little bit faster. Hila eli gitaya ukta nusuya yik. Hila eli jatog kol nusuya yik. Hila eli usti nadlo yishkan yik. Hila eli kanoheda nashkwadishkan yik. Okay? And then there's a third verse. And this third verse answers those riddles. And so we'll talk about it. So it says, a cherry, when it's blooming, it has no stone. So a cherry flower has no seeds. A chicken, when it's pippin, it has no bone. So in this case, what this means, now we kind of consider pipping today to be when a baby chicken is coming out of the egg. After it's broken through the shell and it's on its way out, it's pipped, right? So, but in this case, I think it's talking about a chicken when it's in its egg, okay? A chicken egg has no bones, right? A baby, when it's sleeping, there's no crying. So babies don't cry when they're asleep. And when I say I love you, it has no end, okay? So let's see how to say all of these, okay? So this says, Ukta nusuyen geson, okay? Ukta, seed. Nusuyen, without. Geson, okay, this is the word, this is kind of a very common word. Yigi, geseste, gesan, geson means it is habitually, okay? It's always that way. It's habitually that way. It's not just that way one time, it's that way in general, right? That on sound means it's a habitual action. So, for example, dagile stane hon, right? That on, I work there habitually, okay? I don't just work there one day, I work there, all the time, right? Ukta nusuyan ge son. So there is no seed generally. Gitaya yijiluska. Gitaya. Cherry yijiluska. If it's blooming, if it's flowering. So you might recognize the word ajilusk, a flower. Yijiluska, yijiluska, if it's flowering. Ukta nusuyen geson gitaya yijiluska. Okay, so this one, jitaga uwej yigi. Okay, jitag uwej, a chicken egg, yigi. If it's a chicken egg, kol nusuyen geson. Generally, there are no bones. So that's how you would translate that sentence. Jitag uwej yigi, kol nusuyen geson. Okay. Jitag, chicken. Uwej, egg. Yigi, if it is. Kol, bone. Nusuyen, without. Geson, it generally is. Okay. Yi gatli. Yi gatli. If it's sleeping. Yi gatli. Usti, the baby. Tla yadlo hi hon. Okay. Tla yadlo hi hon. Not generally crying, not habitually crying. So generally, a baby doesn't cry if it's sleeping. Yi gatli usti tla yadlo hi hon. And when I say I love you, it has no end. Nasquadiskan ge son. So it generally doesn't end. Yi gano sela. If gano sela, I told you. Yi gano sela. If I told you, ge yusa, I loved you. you, I love you. You, son, I loved you in the past. Okay? So, nasquati skun ge son yiga no se la you, son. Okay? So let's read through this slow, and then we'll read through it a little bit faster. So, uk ta na nu su yun ge son gita ya ji le ska. Okay? Titog u we ji yiki kol nu su yun ge son yi ga tli u sti pla yadlo hi hon nasquati skan ge son yiga no se la ge you son. Let's read it a little bit faster. Ukta nusu yun ge son gitaya yajiluska. Chitag uwej yigi kol nusu yun ge son. Yi gatli usti tla yadlo hi hon. Nasquati skan ge son. Yiga no se la ge you son. Okay, so that's the whole riddle song. As I said, it is a song, and you know, as you know, normally we like to sing songs here, but I had a little bit of trouble getting the words to fit in the song. However, I encourage you and I challenge you. I would really like to hear somebody fit these words into the song. You can find the songs on. You can find the song in English, you know, on whatever streaming platforms you use, whether it's YouTube or YouTube Music or Pandora, I don't know, whatever it is you use. But you can find this riddle song in English. And if you can make the Cherokee tune fit in there, please send it to me. I would love to hear it. So I had a little bit of trouble getting it to fit in there. So anyway, so let's go through and let's see. I don't know why it does that. So I'll just leave it in this version. So let's read through the whole thing, okay? So, Okin likt kitaya jinela ukta nunsuya. Okin likti jitag jiakanela kol nunsuya. Ogin likti usti nadlo yiskan jiakanela. Ogin likti jino sela nasquatiskan kanoheta. Hila eli gitaya ukta nusuya yik. Hila eli jitag kol nusuya yik. Hila eli usti nadlo yiskan yik. Hila eli kanoheta nasquatiskan yik. Ukta nusuyan ge son gitaya yajilanska. Chitag uwej yigi kol nusuyan ge son. Yi gatli usti tla yadlo hi hon. Nasquatiskan ge son. Yiga no se la ge yusa. Okay? So, pretty good, isn't it? I like it. There's a lot of good stuff in there for us to learn and to use in our everyday Cherokee. For example, the word for boyfriend or girlfriend, the word for it's lacking or it's without something, nusuyan. Also, the word how can it be, hilo'ele. How is it? How can it be that way, right? So we've just got a few minutes left, but I want to really quickly talk about the command for to give me, give it to me, okay? So esqueci is to give me something alive. Esqueci, give it to me. Esquiacci, give me something living, okay? Give me the dog. Gitli esquiacci, give the dog to me, okay? To give me something liquid, esquinehasi, okay? Esquinehasi, give me liquid. Give me something long, esquidisi, and give me something flexible, esquinasi. So to give you some examples, we could say, Quana esqueci, give me the peach. Quana esqueci. Wes esquiacci, Wes esquiacci, give me the cat. Kawi esquinehasi, give me coffee. Kawi esquinehasi, give me coffee. Galoque esquidisi, give me the gun. Galoque esquidisi, give the gun to me. Gasoline esquinasi, okay, give me the coat. Gasoline esquinasi. Okay, so we just have a couple minutes left, but I wanted to make you aware because these commands are very, very common. I actually, you'll hear the commands a lot more commonly than you'll hear, it in another form. So, esqueci, esquiacci, esquinehasi, esquidisi, esquinasi. Okay, so I really encourage you to learn these 5 verbs. Commit them to memory, use them all the time. That's the only way you're going to get better. Write the 5 of them down on a little piece of paper and keep it around. Keep it in your wallet or keep it in your purse or whatever, because this is one that I think you're going to use a lot. So anyway, from all of us here at RSU TV and Cherokee Nation, I do want to say wadon. I appreciate you sticking with it, and together we'll get through it and figure it all out. And I just want to say wadon and dodago hae.